Hello, everyone. Let me put a little hello in the chat. If you can hear me, and well, I almost said and see me. If you can hear me, let me know as you are headed into the room. So, as you can see from the topic of today's video, we are going to be discussing the Baltimore State Attorney. I believe her name is pronounced Marilyn Mosby, right? So if you're thinking that you've heard her name before, but for some reason you can't remember why, it is because she was the prosecuting attorney in the Freddie Gray case. I believe she took the position of state attorney in 2015, actually shortly before the Freddie Gray case was actually prosecuted. Okay. So if you're wondering why she seems familiar to you, that is why. Alrighty. So I am going to begin our conversation by sharing with you some of her own words, right? You'll actually get to see Marilyn Mosby and hear from her about these charges, hear from her as far as whether or not she intends on defending herself against these charges, right? So I'm going to stop jibber jabbering and pretty much let you see what Marilyn herself has to say. Okay? You know, I always announce as I'm sharing my screen. Why? I don't know. So here we go. Wonderful. All right, got my volume up. Here we go.
So what? Her mic? Yeah. I have to move some of this over.
Yeah. Can we move this because it's a little bit right? Like, okay. Okay. We'll make sure we move out. Everyone is. Oh, okay.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is that
This? Yeah. I don't know where this one goes. Here we go.
We got it now? And if it falls,
You guys ready? I will be making a brief statement and not taking questions today because my attorney, A. Scott Bolden, will make himself available at a later time. I thought it was important to be seen and heard today for a number of reasons. First of all, I wanted the citizens of Baltimore to know that as your state's attorney, I am wholly committed to the job and working with my esteemed colleagues in the state's attorney's office to carry out the mission of creating a safer, healthier community for everyone in this city. Nothing is more important than that. I also need citizens who I am blessed to serve to know that I am innocent of the charges that have been levied against me, and I intend to fight with every ounce of energy within my being to prove my innocence and to clear my name. As a Black woman, a lawyer, a wife, and a mother looking to serve my community, I sought elected office because I knew there was so much more we could do and should be doing to bridge the divide between the criminal justice system and the communities that we are entrusted to serve. No one thought I could win. We had very little money and even less name recognition, but we knew that things had to change in the city of Baltimore and around this country, and so we fought. And what started out as a real impossibility and a dream eventually became a victory. I never looked at my ascension to the state's attorney as a victory for Marilyn Mosby, but honestly, I saw this blessing as the acknowledgement and my marching orders from the people of this city that things had to change and we had to do more to make our communities safe and to make progressive change in the criminal justice system. I believe now, as I believed then, that those two objectives are not mutually exclusive and could be and must be achieved simultaneously. I expected the job to be hard. I expected long hours and sleepless nights. I expected criticism and critique from both the media and the citizens. I expected to miss games and recitals and to sacrifice much of the time and energy it takes to raise two little girls so that I could do my part as a public servant to achieve the goals and objectives of the state's attorney's office. What I did not expect was to be personally mocked and ridiculed, sued, or to have to incessantly fight to keep my law license. I did not expect to receive hate mail and death threats and to have the safety of my daughters compromised by the media. I did not expect to need 24-hour armed security. I did not expect to incur personally more than $500,000 in legal bills, defending myself from frivolous investigations and attacks on nearly every front. I did not expect for an investigation into my professional travel, which I asked for, to somehow snowball into state ethics and state election board inquiries, federal investigations, and ultimately a federal indictment. I'm so disappointed, but unfortunately not shocked, that my family and I find ourselves in this position. You see, ever since I walked down the steps of the War Memorial on May 1st, 2015, announced charges against 6 police officers in the killing of Freddie Gray, I have had a target on my back, and I get it. As a state attorney for Baltimore City, I've used my power and my discretion to do things a lot of people in the country just don't like. I've sought to ensure one standard of justice regardless of race, gender, zip code, or occupation. I've prosecuted several police officers for violating the rights of citizens. I've stepped in the war on drug users and people of color by decriminalizing drug possession and sex work. I fought for second chances for people serving life sentences. I've exonerated 12 innocent Black men that the justice system wanted to rot in prison for more than 300 years for crimes they didn't commit. I get it. This is not what prosecutors usually do. And many people will forever hate me for it. Because of my commitment to racial justice, I've had to contend with powerful institutions that have come after me by any means necessary. Donald Trump called for me to be prosecuted several years ago, and I fought back against his administration. I fought back against the governor who plays politics and doesn't like my policies. I fought back against the consistent harassment of the Fraternal Order of Police. I fought back against the right-wing media that trades on misinformation and scaremongering. I fought back against the same U.S. Attorney's Office that is charging me now when they warned me not to charge the police in the Freddie Gray case. I fought back against the exact same federal prosecutors prosecuting me now, who maliciously and erroneously implicated my office in the Gun Trace Task Force scandal. What I've come to learn in fighting for what's right is that there are many in this country wholly committed to defending the status quo, who also realize that those of us who are equally committed to dismantling the status quo represent a threat to business as usual in this city and in this country. I get it. But the people who sent me here did so because they know we need to fight against mass incarceration and dismantle the status quo of the criminal justice system that has devastated far too many families and communities in this city and in this country. Quite simply, I fight for those who don't have enough people fighting for them in place. I firmly believe that differences in ideology, policy positions, and governing philosophies are fair game and should be passionately debated and heavily scrutinized. That's democracy at work. But our differences in policies and governing should not make any of us subject to unreasonable and unyielding, abusive attacks, investigation, and prosecution. I'm here before you today to state unequivocally that I am innocent, and I intend to do what I've always done since I became state's attorney for the city and in the city that I love: fight. I will fight these charges with everything I have in me, and I will be victorious. Because as a woman of faith, I know and I stand firmly in the promises of Isaiah 54:17 that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm built for this, and I will not be distracted from doing my job. Clearly, there are limits to what I can say, and you will certainly be hearing from my legal representative soon. But I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong. I did not defraud anyone to take my money from my retirement savings, and I did not lie on any mortgage application. Prior to yesterday's indictment, I offered to prove my innocence by making myself available to present exculpatory evidence to the grand jury, but the U.S. attorney and the lead prosecutor in the case, who is donated to my political opponents and who has personal animus towards me, has refused to allow me to do so. Please don't be fooled. We are now 5 months from my next election, and this indictment is merely a political ploy by my political adversaries to unseat me. But please also understand that I will never let that happen without a fight. I truly appreciate everyone who's reached out with encouraging words and positive energy, and every prayer that has been sent my way. My family and I are deeply humbled by the support, and I assure you that we are as committed as ever to continuing to fight for the people and the city that we love. Thank you.
All right, everyone, we are back. Welcome, welcome. If you are just joining us today, we are discussing the indictment of Marilyn Mosby. Now, if for some reason you're unfamiliar with what's going on, Marilyn Mosby is the state attorney for Baltimore. She was the prosecuting attorney in the Freddie Gray case back in 2015, and she has been charged. She's been indicted by a federal jury for perjury and loan fraud. Now, we just watched a statement that was released by Marilyn Mosby herself, in which, as you heard, she is adamantly denying these charges. She said flat out, unequivocally, that she is innocent and that she is going to fight these charges. She really did not leave any ambiguity there, right? She flat out said, I am innocent. Now, something that I will say is interesting is that her statement was 10 minutes long, right? And that on a whole, I would say only a minute of that actually addressed the charges at hand. Now, if you listen to the statement with us, you will agree that while her statement was a bit lengthy, it really did not focus on the charges at hand. It really focused on some past issues that she's had in Baltimore, some issues that she has had with past political opponents, and things like that. And so I find that to be intriguing. And I'm wondering why the decision to bring up a lot of racial issues and other things like that, as opposed to just a simple statement that says I'm innocent and, leave it at that. I'm wondering about that decision, and also, I'm wondering if the decision to bring up racial tensions in Baltimore and other things like that may be a part of, a foreshadowing of, if you will, her defense. I'm curious to know if she intends on discussing, as I said, some of her political opponents and some of the racial issues in Baltimore as part of her actual defense at trial. So that will be very, very interesting for us to see as time goes forward, right? Because I'm thinking that she brought it up because it's a part of her defense. I mean, otherwise, I don't know why she would bring it up, right? So that's the only thing that makes any sense. Now, on that topic, I want to say this. You hear towards the end of her statement that she was not given the opportunity to present exculpatory evidence to the grand jury. And so you may be wondering, well, my goodness, what is that? What is exculpatory evidence? Okay. So I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, I want to say hello to some of the people in the chat. I'm going to take it from the top. Hello to Nappy Yankee. Hello to Ayil Yisrael Fella, all the way from Britain. Hi, how are you? Hello to Quack13. Hello to A Lady 747. Hello to DFid. Hello to, give me a minute. Hello to Black Anonymous. Hello to Indigo Forever. And hello to one of my esteemed members of the Empowered Esquire tribe, Miss Senorita Flowers 72. Now, there are a couple content creators in the building. Okay, Nappy Yankee is a content creator, and so is Black Anonymous. Check them out. Both very talented social commentators creating amazing content here in this space. Okay, now let's go on to exculpatory evidence. Wow. So, as you can see, Black Anonymous began to answer the question, right? Exculpatory evidence is evidence that would go towards proving innocence. Yes, you are correct. So, what Marilyn Mosby is saying is that her and her attorney contacted the prosecuting attorney's office, and they said, we have evidence that would prove that Miss Mosby is actually innocent. And we would like to present this evidence at the grand jury and during the grand jury proceedings, right? And apparently, according to Miss Mosby, allegedly, the prosecuting attorney said, no, I will not give you the opportunity to present evidence which could prove that you were innocent at your grand jury proceedings, where I'm presenting evidence that you should be indicted. So you may be thinking, well, doesn't she have the right to testify? Well, I have some news for you. In federal grand jury proceedings, the defendant does not have an unequivocal right to testify. So, in federal grand jury proceedings, a federal prosecutor can walk into a grand jury, present evidence that a person should be indicted, and that person does not have the right to defend themselves. You heard it. They do not have the right to testify in federal grand jury proceedings. Okay. Now, on the state level, each state has their own protocol. In the state of New York, defendants do have the right to present, or rather, I should say, to testify, right, if they so choose. But federal proceedings work differently. Okay. All righty. Hello to Zion Lex. Zion Lex TV is in the building. Another amazing content creator. I am absolutely blessed to have so many absolute stellar creators that are sub to my channel, support me, show up for me. And I mean, that just means the world to me. So everyone check out Zion Lex TV. He's also an amazing teacher as well. All right. Hello to Sis Zakia. Hello to Let Me See Your Transcript. Yet another content creator that you should check out, right? Hello to, I'm going to mess up this name, Kuangja7. All right. And I think I've gotten everyone right. Zion Lex says, always enlightened when I come to this channel. Well, that is why I'm here. So I'm honored to hear that. All right. So now that we've addressed, the fact that, well, she didn't really have the right to testify or to present evidence, let's get into what the prosecuting attorneys have said about their case against her. Now, if you are a newbie here, what I'm about to show you is new to you, right? But if you're an OG, you know what we're about to do. You know that when the DOJ, right, AKA the alphabet, the Department of Justice, right, you know that when they come down in this type of case, when they're prosecuting a public figure, you know they release their own statement. They release their own press release. So you don't need to go to CNN or MSNBC or Fox, right? The Department of Justice themselves has their own press department. And when they are in such a high-profile prosecution, they release their own press release. So you know what we're about to do. I'm going to queue up for us the press release that was issued by the Department of Justice upon Miss Mosby's indictment. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Here we are. So, we are here at the website for the Department of Justice. Okay. You know that that's where we are. Why? Well, in the header, you see United States Department of Justice. You see United States Attorney's Office, District of Maryland. So, you know that this is not some strange district that is prosecuting Miss Mosby, right? You know that she is being prosecuted in her home state of Maryland. Okay. Thursday, January 13th, 2022. That's when this press release was released. Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby facing perjury and false mortgage application charges related to her purchase of 2 vacation properties. So we're in the title and we're already enlightened, right? Because when Miss Mosby was speaking, we weren't even sure what the charges pertain to. I mean, she briefly mentioned taking money out of her pension and a loan, but we didn't know a loan pertaining to what? A car loan, a house loan, right? So now we're getting into it. So now we know it is a loan that pertained to 2 vacation properties. Okay. Allegedly, she claimed to have experienced financial hardship resulting from coronavirus to obtain distributions from the city of Baltimore's deferred compensation plan, which she used toward down payments for vacation homes in Florida. Okay, let's have a moment. Now, if you are a part of any type of 401k or pension plan, you know that this pandemic has had both its thorns, right? But also its silver linings. Many people who had money in these plans that they could not touch have now been able to withdraw that money because of the pandemic. Many companies, many employers have said, hey, listen, if you can prove to us that you are undergoing some sort of hardship because of the pandemic and you need this money, money that we usually would not allow you to touch until you vested or until you retire, right? We'll let you touch it now. We'll let you pull it out now to save yourself from whatever emergency you're undergoing. So, for example, there are people who their spouse lost their employment, right? And so those people have gone to their employer and said, well, we're in a 2-income household and we rely on both incomes. We have now lost one. So I need the pandemic exception to dip into my pension plan or my 401k, right? So that I can keep my household afloat. These are the kinds of exceptions, if you will, that were created by the pandemic. So we now know that the allegation is that Miss Mosby used one of these exceptions, right, to buy 2 vacation properties. All right, let's continue. A federal grand jury today returned an indictment charging Marilyn J. Mosby, age 41, of Baltimore, Maryland, on federal charges of perjury and making false mortgage applications relating to the purchases of 2 vacation homes in Florida. The indictment was announced by United States Attorney for the District of Maryland, Eric L. Barron, Special Agent in Charge Thomas J. Sobozinski of the FBI, Baltimore Field Office, of course, and Special Agent Daryl J. Walden of the Internal Revenue Service. Now, if you are an OG here, you understand what that paragraph meant, right? If you're new here, you don't. But all of my OGs who are watching, I know most of you are in the bushes because let me tell you, my OGs, they watch and then they'll send me a message or something on the side, right? But usually they're in the bushes. So if you are an OG here, you know the importance of this paragraph. But for all my newbies, right? Do any of you think, and put a 1 in the chat if you do, put a 1 in the chat if you might be a newbie, right? But you think you know the significance of that paragraph. Put a 1 in the chat. If you're a newbie, but you think you got this. If you are a newbie and you know for sure that you have no idea why that paragraph is important, drop a 2 in the chat and I will break it down for you. In the meantime, I see some things going on in the chat. Yes, hello back at you to Ayel Yisrael. Fella, I am well as well. Let's see. And hello to Doug. Doug is in the building, everyone. One of my fave moderators. All right. Thank you for sharing the Cash App info. So I see a 2 from DFID. Okay. Any other newbies? Any newbies who think you know the significance of that paragraph? No? Okay. Doesn't seem like it. All right. So I see a lot of 2s in the chat. So allow me to explain to you all the significance of this paragraph. When you see that the indictment is announced by the US State's Attorney, right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Internal Revenue Service. That is extremely important because it tells you that all three of these organizations worked in tandem, worked together to both A, investigate Marilyn Mosby, and B, prosecute Marilyn Mosby. Okay, so the United States Attorney didn't just get up one day and say, today I'm going to prosecute Marilyn Mosby. No. What very likely happened, allegedly, is that the IRS saw some financial document come in. The IRS tipped off the FBI. The FBI started to watch and investigate and collect information. And then the FBI started to work with the United States Attorney's Office with all of this information. Okay. So, as Black Anonymous says here, he says, oh, they've been watching her for more than a minute. Correct. That's what that should clue off in your mind. Whenever you see all of these, as I say, the alphabet, right? The IRS and the DOJ and the FBI working together, think long-term investigation. Think they did not just start watching this person yesterday. Okay? That's the significance of that. And also, when you see all of these different organizations communicating with each other like that, cooperating with each other like that, right? You also know that very likely this woman has one heck of a fight that she's up against, right? Because when these organizations come together, let me tell you, they don't come together to lose, okay? You can take that to the bank. The FBI and the DOJ and the IRS are not coming together to indict you and lose. That's not the game they're in. They're in the game of winning. All right. As Doug says, hit the like button. Yes, please hit the like button. You are here garnering, right, this amazing information about the legal system that, hey, you're forced to live under. All right. So hit the like button. Okay. Hello to Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. Kingdom says, awesome show thus far. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Kingdom Ministries. I will keep at it. I want to share with you all for a moment something about this YouTube space. So if I were to come on here every day and talk about dating, right? And how horrible dating is, and I can't stand men and blah, 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 right? Or if I were to come on here every day and talk about other women of color and say, I can't stand women of color and they're this and they're that, I would have over 100,000 subscribers easy. I would have views through the roof easy. If I were to come on here every day and talk about certain internet celebrities, easy, right? But what I came to this space to do is enrich my fellow human, right? To teach. And so I do that, even if it means that the subs and the views don't necessarily align, right? Because that's not why I'm here. All right. Okay, so we are going to get back into it. DFID says, no wonder she sounded scared. Yeah. You see the FBI and the DOJ and the IRS working together to come and speak to you? Huh. You got problems. You got, as they used to say, polens. Okay, you got polens for real. Let's get back into the press release. Now, according to the 4-count indictment on May 26, 2020 and December 29, 2020, Mosby submitted what is called a 457 Section B coronavirus-related distribution request for one-time withdrawals of $40,000 and $50,000 respectively from the City of Baltimore's Deferred Compensation Plan. So if you've never been a city employee, right, take it from a previous city employee. Each of these cities, New York City, Baltimore City, blah, 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 right, have their compensation plans that are kind of sort of their answer to a 401k, right? And as I said, you cannot pull from these plans until you are vested. So until a certain amount of time has passed, okay? I want to say shout out to Doug and thank you to Doug for the Cash App. Shout out to Mr. Doug. Thank you very much. So yes, so initially these plans have to vest. A certain amount of time has to pass. But as I said, with COVID-19, many people went through hardships. So different cities started to say, well, we will allow you to pull out, some one-time payments to help you through your hardship. Okay, so the allegation is that Miss Mosby pulled out $40,000 and then $50,000 to lump sum payments from her deferred compensation plan. I don't know why my brain went blank for a second. Okay. Alrighty, so here we go. In each request, Mosby falsely certified that she met at least one of the qualifications for a distribution. Remember what I was saying? There are certain types of emergencies, right? There are certain quals you have to meet for you to have the level of hardship required to get these payments. Okay, so specifically, Mosby alleged that she experienced adverse financial consequences from the coronavirus as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, or laid off, having to reduce her work hours, etc. Okay. They then say that Mosby affirmed under penalty of perjury that the statements and acknowledgments she made in the requests were true. The indictment alleges that Mosby did not experience any such financial hardship, and that in fact, Mosby had received her full gross salary of $247,000 from January 1st, 2020 through December 29th, 2020, in biweekly gross pay direct deposits of $9,183. Now let's have a moment. Let's have a moment, shall we, everyone? I don't know if you guys are aware of the cost of living in Baltimore, but it's not high. Okay. It's not high. And so she's making a decent amount to live in Baltimore. Now, if she wants to go and live in a ritzy suburb close to DC, she's pushing it, right? But if she lives in actual Baltimore, she's making a pretty good salary. So yes, we have to acknowledge that her getting her full salary does help the prosecution's case when they're saying that she didn't experience hardship. However, remember that your life does not exist in a vacuum. Okay. So we don't know what's going on with her spouse, right? We don't know if her spouse has income that he lost. Next, we see a mention of childcare. We don't know what happened with her childcare situation, and childcare is very, very expensive. So, there could be some other things that happened that led to the hardship other than just her salary. Okay. But I will say, if she alleged that she did not gross her full salary, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. So if she alleged hardship in general is one thing, but if she actually alleged that she did not gross her full salary, that could be a problem for her. Okay. They then go on to detail that the indictment also alleges that Mosby made some false statements in applications for a $490,000 mortgage to purchase a home in Kissimmee and a $428,000 mortgage to purchase a condominium in Longboat Key, Florida. Wait a minute, you all. So this is about to be a Felicia moment and not an Empowered Esquire moment. So she's not just buying any old, vacation home. She's dropping $500,000 each on these vacation properties. You all realize this is $1 million in mortgages that she picked up after she pulled out this money. Wowza. Okay, then. Oh, all right. As part of both applications, Mosby was required to disclose her liabilities. Mosby did not disclose on either application that she had unpaid federal taxes from a number of previous years. Pause. Yes, everyone. People, if you are buying property, you are supposed to disclose your outstanding debts. That includes money that you owe the IRS. Okay, all righty, let's get back into it. Finally, according to the indictment, 1 week prior to closing on the Kissimmee vacation home, Mosby executed an agreement with a vacation home management company, giving the management company control over the rental property. Oh, okay. So it sounds like she may have intended to use at least the Kissimmee property, or Kissimmee, however you like to say it. But I'm used to saying Kissimmee, to use that property as a rental property, it looks like. Okay. On September 2nd, 2020, Mosby signed a second home rider, which provided, among other things, that the borrower occupy and use the property as their second home, that the borrower maintain exclusive control of the owner over the ownership of the property, including short-term rentals, and not subject the property to any agreement that requires the borrower to either rent the property or give a management firm any other entity any control. Ugh, that was a mouthful. So I'm sure that sounded like blah, 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 blah. So allow me to tell you what it means. So, in order for her to acquire some of the benefits of having this property, she alleged to the government that this property would be a second home. She certified that the property would remain in her control, i.e., that she would not just turn it into some rental property where she hands the keys over to a management company and walks away. Yet still, she handed the exclusive control of the property over to a management company. So exactly what she said she would not do, which is turn it into a 24/7 rental property of which she really doesn't have control, right? She turned around and did just that by hiring this management company, which would insinuate that it is not a second home, but it is in fact a income property. Okay. This does not sound good. Okay. Here we are. If convicted, Mosby faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison for each of the 2 counts of perjury. Pause. 2 counts, max of 5 each. That is what? 10. Okay, so maximum of 10 years for the perjury. And a maximum of 30 years in federal prison for each of the 2 counts of making false mortgage applications. Okay, pause, do the math again. 30 plus 30 is 60. Okay, so max of 60 years for the false mortgage statement. So we have a max of what? 70 years. Actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. Right, that is true. Okay. Woo! We're going to look at the actual indictment. Okay, see the link here? Before we do so, I am going to hop in the chat, take some questions. Corey says, I can tell you enjoy talking and I enjoy listening. Thanks, attorney. Well, Corey, let me tell you, I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't enjoy talking. If I didn't like to speak, I don't think this would really be my profession. But yes, I am glad you enjoy listening. All right. Sis Zakia says, she is operating in hostile waters, swimming with sharks. You have to be agile and alert at all times. Listen, Zakia, I want to tell you something about government employees and the government and things like that when it comes to financial decisions, right? If you look at many people who are prominent in Congress today, right? Pelosi and shoot, I wanted to give you one from each party. So there was Pelosi and there's one Republican. I cannot remember her name. But there's also a Republican that is on the chopping block for it. But anyway, there's a big scandal right now with Pelosi and this insider trading, right? It is being alleged that Pelosi was taking information she garnered within her position in Congress and leaking that to her husband for him to make more adept investment decisions. Now, that may sound to you like, oh my gosh, that's horrible, right? But guess what? As of right now, they have not been able to find anything that Pelosi did that was actually illegal. So it sounds unfair. And I think a lot of people can agree that it's unfair. But they have not yet found a law that she violated. So look at the dichotomy here, right? You can hear what Mosby has allegedly done, and you can think to yourself, well, that sounds, that doesn't sound right, right? Allegedly. And there's a law to back that up, hence prosecution. But then look at Pelosi. You can hear what her and her husband have done, and you can think, that doesn't sound right. But there is no law that they can say she has violated, right? There is the dichotomy. You see, the art of true sharkdom, especially when you're talking about attorneys, is for many of these people to find ways to do things that sound unfair, but that aren't actually illegal. As Black Anonymous says, okay. DFID says she quoted Isaiah. Let her quote that to the judge. I have to say, and if you disagree with me, you disagree, and that's fair. We can agree to disagree, but I feel some type of way when people bring their religion into these types of statements. It always feels like it is meant to manipulate. And it could be genuine, and that's for anyone, by the way, anyone that I've ever heard have this type of press conference about a prosecution and quote any religious text, it feels manipulative. And I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. Okay. A lady says, I grew up learning that, you see what she said on the screen, cannot get away with what you see what she said on the screen, get away with, no matter how wealthy you become. Interesting thought. All right. Hello to Rockin' with the Truth. How are ya? All right. Oh, a lady answered it for me. So, former Georgia Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler and Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. Okay, so they are being investigated right along with Pelosi for allegedly passing along information, for their spouses and family members and whomever to make more adept investment decisions. Okay. All right. And Sasha agrees with me. She said it's very manipulative. It feels manipulative. To me, it just does. When I see you up there using religious text, it feels manipulative. Nappy Yankee says, something in the water in Baltimore. If my math is right, she'll be the third Black female politician. Whoa. That may be possibly prison bound. Whoa, Baltimore. Whoa. Interesting. Something else you should know about Marilyn Mosby, if you did not know, she is the youngest state attorney right now. I mean, she's the youngest person to be in her position in this country, right? So that's saying something. And a lady made an interesting statement. She said, using religion or race is manipulative. I have to say, I agree with that. I agree. So, that I love to show you all actual legal documents, right? It's something that most people don't do. Hence why I enjoy showing you these legal documents, diving into them and dissecting them. Okay, so let us do that. We're going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment, just so I can pull up the indictment and then share the indictment with you all. So here we go. Is this it? Yes. Okay, perfect. Nice view of that. Let's put that full screen. That's the best I think we can do with that. Okay. All righty. So you see here the actual indictment. Okay. You see the case caption. Again, if you're an OG here, you know what a case caption is. If you are a newbie, allow me. This section of the document here where it tells you the court it was filed in, who filed the matter, and who the defendant is, the docket number of the matter, all these things. It's called the case caption. Okay. So we see Marilyn J. Mosby is a defendant. We see that the grand jury for the District of Maryland brought forth these charges, and then they go through the charges. Count 1, perjury, right? I.e., her allegedly lying about financial hardship. Okay. Then we scroll down because we're going to go to count 2 next. Oh, well, first, before we go to count 2, let's talk about number 5 right here. This is interesting. Number 5 actually has the portion of the application that they are alleging Miss Mosby was not totally truthful about. Okay, so let's look at that. So here it says Mosby falsely certified. I plopped in my own word there. Mosby falsely certified the following. She checked, I have experienced adverse financial consequences stemming from such virus or disease as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, or laid off, having reduced work hours, being unable to work due to lack of childcare, or the closing or reduction of hours of a business I own or operate. Interesting. So here's the thing now. Remember when we read that Mosby collected her full salary? Now we understand why that was a portion of the press release, right? Because this entire statement here specifically says adverse financial consequences, meaning I lost money because I was quarantined or furloughed, because my hours were reduced, because I could not work, or because my business was closed. One more time. I was quarantined or furloughed. I had reduced work hours. I was unable to work, or the last option, I had to close my business. According to what the DOJ said in their press release, none of these options apply to Miss Mobley. Again, we don't know her side of the story, right? Because as she said, she was not permitted to share her side. But we know that I had a Freudian slip. Did I? Uh-oh. I hope I didn't. None of these things apply to Miss Mobley, right? According to the DOJ. We don't know her side of the story because we know that she was not permitted to testify at the grand jury proceedings, right? But we know what the DOJ said. And we know that they are alleging that she garnered her full salary, which means she was not adversely affected by reduced work hours, right? By being unable to work or by any type of furlough because she garnered her full salary. Okay, this is interesting. All right, so they go on with the allegations. They then get into further into the charges, right? We're going to keep kind of scrolling through this because we already know the gist of a lot of that, right? Now, count 2, false statement on a loan application, right? Now they get into the fact that Miss Mobley allegedly did not share her federal tax debt. So the money that she owed the IRS, she allegedly did not put that on her paperwork in these mortgage applications. Okay, so they detail that, and they detail the money that she allegedly owed from 2014 and 2015, which is quite a cognizable amount, allegedly. Okay, because allegedly it was $46,000 and $17,000, which is no, it's not $5. Let's put it that way. Okay. They get into some details about the vacation home. Okay. We are just scrolling here. Then they get into the charge and they get into count 3. Now they get further into the second count of the hardship withdrawal. Okay. They detail that Miss Mosby in December of 2020 submitted a second request. So we know we had the first request, right? Now she submitted another request to pull out money from her deferred compensation plan. Remember, allegedly, she first pulled out $50,000 $50,000 and then $40,000, I believe. Okay. They again say that she checked that she experienced adverse financial consequences, right? And we've already gone through that portion, so we know the deal on that. Okay? Count 4, false statements on a loan application. Okay? And then here they get into again her not disclosing outstanding debt, which, as I am stressing to you all, when you are garnering a mortgage, you have to tell them all of your outstanding debts. One more time, all of your outstanding debts. Okay? Not because you don't like it or you don't think it's a lot or no, all of them. Okay. All right, so they get into that debt that she allegedly did not disclose. Okay, and we see they then go through these charges. The reason that we're not going through this line by line is because the press release was so detailed about the allegations that really this is just the longer version of the press release. Okay. All righty. And then at the very end of this indictment, you see that it was, of course, signed by Eric L. Barron. You see a true bill. A true bill means that the grand jury voted that these allegations are, in their opinion, sufficient and true, hence the return of an indictment. Okay. And then they redact the name of the foreperson. Now, every grand jury has a foreperson. Okay. That foreperson kind of they wrangle the jury, right? Make sure everyone is in order, yada, yada. Make sure the rules of decorum are kept, okay? And the foreperson does sign the indictment, but they redact that name, of course, for privacy reasons. You know, they don't want the general public to just know the name of the foreperson of the grand jury because grand juries are, to a certain degree, confidential, okay? So the last piece that I'm going to walk you through is the actual law that Miss Mosby is accused of violating. So before we do that, let me ask you all, do you all have any questions for me? Giving you all a moment. Any questions for me? Should I play my Jeopardy music? Do 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 do. Okay. All right. So let's dive into the actual law that Miss Mosby is accused of violating. Okay. So I am going to cue that up for you. And then, of course, share my screen again per our usual proceedings, right? If you will. Okay, share screen. Why do I announce when I'm sharing my screen? I don't know. I have no idea. I just do. All right, so let's start with perjury. Okay, so here we are. This is one of our favorite legal tools, the Legal Information Institute of Cornell Law School. Okay, so this is one of the charges that Miss Mosby is facing, which is perjury. Okay, here we go. Title 18, right? U.S. Code, Section 1621. Perjury in general. Whoever, having taken an oath before a competent tribunal, officer, or person in any case in which a law of the United States authorizes an oath to be administered, that he will testify, declare, depose, or certify truly, or that any written testimony, declaration, deposition, or certificate by him subscribed is true, willfully and contrary to such oath, states or subscribes any material matter which he does not believe to be true. So, in other words, anywhere in this country, if you have taken an oath to tell the truth, whether it is written testimony you're giving, meaning you're giving some sort of written version of events, or oral testimony, meaning you're giving some sort of oral version of events. Either way, if you have certified that you are telling the truth, you must do so. But what is the key here? Right? To the best of your belief. So you must speak what you believe to be true. If you speak something that you do not believe to be true, i.e., you know it's a lie, that equates to perjury. Okay. But remember, the belief is a very important part. Okay. Because if someone truly believes that what they are saying is true, then hey, it's not perjury, right? It's only perjury to refuse to disclose when it's something. Well, let me take that back. Whew, I don't want to deal with any law nerds here. It is only perjury when you share information that you do not believe to be true. Okay. So it's false. That's when it's perjury. All right. Now they go on to say that this also applies to declarations, right? Anything that you have to certify or verify, any statement that you have to make that you have to certify or verify, you can be held under penalty of perjury. Okay, so that is perjury, everyone. Now I am back in the chat to chit chat with you all. Okay, wait a minute. I think there's some flirting going on in the chat. I'm not going to call you guys out, but I mean, I do think you guys would be cute together. By the way, just looking at your little avatar pictures, I'm just saying. Um, Sis Zakia says this is a big mountain she has to climb. They've got her on several fronts. I don't see a way out for her. Zakia, as I said earlier, when you have the DOJ, the IRS, and the FBI working together, I mean, whew, you already know that they did not come to play. They do not come to lose. They only come to win. That's how they get down. Okay. Let's look at the law regarding loans and veracity when you're applying for a loan. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Sharing my screen again. All right, so here we are. We're back at the LII, okay? Title 18, Section 1014, Loan and Credit Applications in General. Whoever knowingly makes any false statement or report or willfully overvalues any land, property, or security for the purpose of influencing in any way the action of the Federal Housing Administration, the Farm Credit Administration, the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, or a company the corporation reinsures. That's important. The Secretary of Agriculture, acting through the Farmers Home Administration, the Rural Development Administration, any farm credit bank, production credit association, agricultural credit association, bank for cooperatives, that's important, or any division, officer, or employee thereof, or of any regional agricultural agricultural credit corporation established pursuant to law, or a federal land bank, a federal land bank association, a Federal Reserve Bank, that is important, a small business investment company, as defined in Section 103 of the Small Business Investment Act, or the Small Business Administration in connection with any provision of that act, a federal credit union, that is important, an insured state chartered credit union, that is important, any institution the accounts of which are insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. This is extremely important. One more time. Any institution the accounts of which are insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, any federal home loan bank, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I don't think at this point we need to continue, right? I think you get it. Okay? All righty. Now, it says that any person or entity that makes in whole or in part a federally related mortgage loan as defined in Section 3 of the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act of 1974 upon any application, advance, discount, purchase agreement, repurchase, commitment, or loan. Okay? And they go on and on and on. So, and I didn't mean to wrap there. So the long and short of it is, this section here states that if you are garnering a mortgage from an FDIC insured bank, credit union, cooperative, organization, whatever, right? And let me tell you, You're really not going to find someone who's giving you an actual mortgage that is not certified, okay, by the FDIC. Okay. So this section says if you are getting a mortgage or a loan from any of these entities, right, and you do not truthfully report all of the things they are inquiring about, you have violated this section. Any bank, any credit union, any federally insured financial institution, which again, I can't see how you would get a mortgage from an institution that is not federally sanctioned and insured. Okay. And they also go through painstaking detail, right? To tell you in this second section here that they do not care if it is for an advance, if it is for a purchase, if it is for a repurchase, if it is for a commitment. They don't care. So it doesn't even need to be an initial purpose. Purpose. This is how you can tell I need my water. So it doesn't even need to be an initial purchase, right? It could be a refinance. It could be a transfer. Anything you are doing where you have to go through one of these federally sanctioned financial institutions, you better tell them everything, or you are violating this section. Okay? I'm sure you guys heard me opening my seltzer water because I'm starting to get from having no water. Alrighty, so let me see here what's going on in the chat. A lady has a question. She says, could her back taxes have been in dispute? Well, a lady, it's an interesting point that you've made as to whether or not your taxes being in dispute mean that you don't necessarily have to report them because you're disputing them, right? Very clever, but no. You still have to report them. Now, you can do in a mortgage, it is called a letter of explanation, right? So you can do what is called a letter of explanation, in which you explain to, the bank, yes, it says that I owe the IRS such and such, but I'm working it out with them. I'm disputing it. It's not accurate, yada, yada, yada. Whatever your explanations are, you are supposed to give to the financial institution in what is called a letter of explanation. You're not just supposed to not disclose because you feel like, it's not correct. That's not how that works. Okay? All right. All right. I see you two in the chat. I'm not going to call you out, but again, I have to say I think you two would be cute together. Okay. So, listen, it's been about an hour. And I think we have sufficiently explained and dived into these charges and this situation. Now, if you have any further questions for me, I'm going to give you a little bit to let me know whilst I drink my seltzer. All righty, so I don't see any further questions, so I'm going to respond to Quack 13. Oh, I see one. I'm going to respond to Quack 13. Let's start with that. So Quack 13 said, maybe that's the exculpatory evidence she was referring to. So I think what Quack is saying is, when she says exculpatory evidence, is she perhaps referring to her disputing these, debts with the IRS? And maybe that's what she meant. You never know, but it's not very exculpatory because you still are supposed to disclose it. Okay. We got a question from Sis Zakia. She says, do you think she'll be able to recover politically from this? Yes, I do. Listen, Sis Zakia, if there's anything that we know about politics, it's that people have a very short memory. I will not say any names because I don't want to start a big hubbub right now. But there are certain people in certain offices right now where Black people, right, African American people, whatever term you like to use, voted to put those people, more than one person, notice I said those people, to put those people into office when those people have extremely racist histories, extremely, horrifically racist histories. And the African American community have already forgotten. So when it comes to politics, people have very short memories. I don't think it will hurt her not one bit because people will forget by next year. Okay. Sexy Sci-Fi says this sounds like Zaza Ali's case. Uh-huh. She's another one. I wonder if I should put her on my expose list. I might. And if I do an expose on Zaza Ali, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Man, Sexy Sci-Fi girl, you just came in here giving me ideas. Let me send myself a message. If I do if I do, I'm not gonna be immature. If I do an expose on Zaza Ali, I actually have a personal story that I can add to that. All righty. Okay, you're welcome, everyone. For Sister Kia said, thank you for the info. All of you are very, very welcome. So, listen, it's been great being here with you today. I hope you feel empowered by the legal information we have discussed because you are powerful and amazing in your own right. Remember that if you spend your life comparing yourself to others, you will never know just how uniquely wonderful you are. It's been great. I will see you around. All right. Have a wonderful Sunday.